Okay, it's 4:35 and we're going to start our library board meeting. And the first thing on our agenda, we do have a full quorum today. This is great. We have to approve our minutes from our last meeting. So, do I have anybody that wants to?
I'll make a motion that we approve them.
Okay, I need a second. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The minutes are approved. Okay. The first thing we have on our business is motion to apply for the E-rate grant for telephone and internet charges.
This is something that we do each year, and I'm going to let Glenn Green speak on this.
Like she said, it's something we do every year. It's a percentage matching grant, and the percentage depends on the demographics of our county. So they change depending on various poverty levels and free lunch programs and things like that. Generally, we've had 60% and 50%, I think, so it'll be somewhere in that same range. And it's a discount off our bill from TDS for the library's telephone usage, which includes fax usage, and now it should also be off our internet at the library, since we're doing Comcast now. Okay. So we should get a discount on that too. And I haven't started the paperwork on it yet. I believe October and November are the months we can start that paperwork. So this is just, I think, informational and approve this to go ahead with.
I have a question. Is there a goal that we have for a certain percentage each year, and are we at that goal pretty much consecutively? It's 50 and 60%?
It's not a goal we can control. It's based on census data.
Well, I guess what I mean by that is, does it make what we have been doing consistently, does that make everybody happy as far as the TDS and the library?
We have been pleased with the percentage that we get and how it has lowered our bill. Is this what you are referring to? Yes.
Yeah. And
yes,
they're okay
this has
with
been a very good thing to do, and
It's a federal fund. It's a federal grant. So every school and every library in the country that wants to utilize this utilizes this, and most do. And it's a standard online form. You fill out and you take your census data, most recent census data, and plug in there, and there's a formula that computes all that for you. So I'm sure all the schools, I'd have to check, but I'd imagine all the schools around here as well do it. It's a very well-known grant. And
I just want to make sure that if there was something in the news or something going on politically that would affect it, I would like to know ahead of time, that this is something that is locally going to affect the library for our city. So
it definitely helps us out, and it's definitely something we do want to apply for. And what we'll do, once the application is completed, then I believe we do have to take it before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay.
And so we will have the completed application then.
And all the telecommunication companies and internet companies all participate in it. They all have their own individual number called a SPIN number. I forget what it stands for now, but when you apply for this grant, you find your local phone carrier and internet carrier in this list with their own SPIN number, and they in turn automatically will apply the discount to your bill, or they'll reimburse you with a check. We prefer to do the discount. It's just easier for everybody to do, and so yeah, we just TDS has their own SPIN number. They usually contact us when we apply and say, do you want it as a discount or as a reimbursement? We tell them to go ahead and do the discount like they have been doing, and it comes right off the bill. Just if you look, it's just like your bill and you had a credit. Just comes right off there as an E-rate.
Thank you.
I like that.
Okay. Everybody understand?
Mhm.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion to apply for the E-rate grant.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, number 2, discussion, library board dates for 2014.
Yes, this is something, I believe this year we have been meeting once a quarter. And with Paula and I getting back into the swing together as a team, we would like to meet monthly if possible. Now, we had also talked about changing the time. I want to open it up for discussion about the time change. Bruce will need to know this information so that he can, I think we'll start our new dates in January. So just want to open up, for discussion on how you feel about a monthly meeting and how you feel about our times at this time.
Okay, we'll open for discussion. Someone like to?
What times were they considering? Do we have, has anybody said a time that they wanted to change it to, or?
I haven't
No,
heard.
okay.
I know that there has been discussion that it's difficult if you do not work here in the
Right.
city to get here.
Because it takes me an hour now to get here, and I have to leave work early. So, yeah, I mean, 5:30 would be the best for me, actually. So I get off at 4. So,
I typically have to take the whole day off in order to get here.
Okay.
so yeah, if we're going to go, especially if we're going to go to once a month.
I really think once a month, unless you have something that's really pushing, and then we can always do a special meeting if we have to.
So how often?
Once a month, how do you feel? That's all we're doing now, though.
Once
Do
a-
you think we need to
Once
do
a
it
quarter.
more?
We're
doing
doing
once
once a
Once a
quarter
quarter.
right now.
Yeah.
4 times a year.
Yeah, that's
And,
right. We
Even if we did every other month would be better.
do. Be better for you and
Right,
Mhm.
because we do have a lot of issues that we want to start bringing, and that way we don't have to have such a long meeting. But even if we did every other month, 6 times a year, that would work well with us.
that should
That
be
would be
fine.
good.
That would be
That's
good.
fine.
I think that would be good for all of us.
Those of you who work here at City Hall, what are your feelings on the time? I mean, I know we want to keep it where you're not having to go home and then come back.
Yeah,
I would
that's-
just,
I could go a little bit later than
Yeah.
4:30, I could go 5 or something like that, even 5:30 if we needed to.
right.
I wouldn't want to go any further than that,
Okay.
I don't think, my opinion.
No, that's
And I would need to check with Bruce also to make sure, and that's why this is just a discussion right now.
Mhm.
So, Tony, if we were to go at 5:30, would that help you out?
Yes, they would.
And Lori, that would help you. Felicia?
I get off at 3:30, so I'm
Okay, so
already,
you're already, okay.
I'm already either staying or coming back, so.
Okay. Monteith?
I can say 5:30.
So Glenn, you feel 5:30 might be okay?
I like 5 better, but
You like
5:30 is
5
okay.
better?
Well, the only thing I'm gonna say is this is taped, and we are paying overtime.
Exactly, so I need to
That's-
check with Bruce
So,
and check with.
budget-wise, you're paying
right.
overtime for,
Uh-huh.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
5 o'clock, how does,
It's better.
It's
I'll
better?
say that, it's better than,
I can
Or
make
30.
I can make anything work. I mean, I own my own business, so I'm the boss. If I have to take a day off, I do. But
okay,
I usually don't take a day off, so library board meeting days are typically my days that say I'm not working, but it could work today. So 5 o'clock is fine for me.
okay. Let me check with Bruce, and that's a very good point, Felicia, that you brought up, because with Jerry videotaping,
Mhm.
we definitely want to keep, the budget in mind.
Exactly.
So, I will talk with him and then definitely get back with you all, because right now our next meeting is scheduled for January. And, so, if there is a time change, I will definitely let you know, okay? And then I'll also talk to him about, the 6 times a year, the every other month.
Yeah. That would probably.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have discussed to change our meeting to 5 o'clock.
Well, I'm going to talk with
Check
Bruce.
before,
Yes, this
okay.
was just kind of a discussion,
Okay.
so.
So we've made our discussion on that, and Donna will check with Bruce. Okay, our third is discussion Fox collection accounts.
Okay, as some of you may know, we have Fox Collections that is used for our patrons that have extremely overdue items that if they do not return them, they're sent to the collection agency. Teresa had started this and had maintained it. I believe it was started in 2010. Okay, 2010. Paul and I are having a really hard time finding paper trails of where letters were sent to the patrons, letting them know that they were going to be sent to collections. Along with that, we're having some problems with putting items with the patron of what exactly they were sent to collections with. So Paul and I had met with the owner of Fox Collections. We actually had 2 meetings with him. I've spoken with Bruce about this. The owner was very concerned that he would be sued because there may be a hiccup in perhaps someone had said that they paid, but we didn't have it that they had paid, and then they're sent to collections, and then they're not given the credit like to get a loan, and then they're going to come back on Fox Collections. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So he felt the best way for us just to start a total clean slate. He wanted just to wipe out all of those collections, and then Paul and I are taking those patrons out of collections. What we are doing is so many of the items had been returned, and when they were returned in the previous administration, they had already been deleted. So we can't say this particular person had this particular item. They're no longer in our system, but we have all of this material. What we're wanting to do is take the people out of collections in their little where it says adults or collection, put them back in as an adult. If we have the material, we're going to get it back on the shelf. If they have already paid for it, if we can find that they paid for it, we're going to offer it to them. And we're just going to clean up our mess.
And I'm sure it's a big one.
It's been interesting.
I'm sure it has, because, yeah, anytime you make a change like that.
Now, along with cleaning up this little mess, because the collection agency has already sent out letters to all of these people, and they have made initial phone calls to several, they are going to charge us 75 cents per patron that they have sent a letter to. And currently we had 1,730 patrons in collections. So the amount that we will owe Fox Collections in order to get this all straightened out and give us a clean slate is $1,297.30.
And do you have any?
That's not
We
as
have
bad as
$100 in our
No, me
collections budget.
Okay.
Bruce suggested that I talk, of course, with Phyllis to see where we could bring this money from. It may have to come out of our book fund and take care of this, and that will just give us a clean slate. Now, the ones that we're taking out of collections, if we can see that, yes, they still have an item that they have not returned, as they come up, we're going to talk to them about returning this item. We're going to let them know you're being taken out of collections, but we would like to have our items back, and we're going to tell them, you know, let's have a 2-week grace period that you will return this item, and if you don't return the item, then you will need to pay for the book. And those are the ones that we actually can link items to. So now we'll open
Good
up
luck
for
with
discussion.
Good luck with that. What is there to
I
discuss?
was going to say, does anybody have any discussion?
So are those people part of the 1,200? Or is that?
The 1,700,
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
1,730.
Yes.
Okay, so if they do return it, then that's that much to our good then?
Then that's great, yes. Then that gives us,
And if we can't find some money somewhere, I guess we'll be doing a fundraiser.
We're gonna do the donuts again.
Donuts.
we can do donuts for, we
Yeah.
could have a Fox donut fund.
Do we have
Um,
a plan for going forward to where this doesn't happen again?
We are working very, very hard. Once we get that clean slate, we're going to bring it to the library board. We want a written policy that has been approved by the library board, because I couldn't find any paperwork that this other had been approved. And we would like to be able to say if a person is so many days overdue, of course, we send emails now, but some people don't have emails. So we will send a letter, and then we will make a phone call, and then we will send another letter, and we would like to have a scheduled time period that we do that, like 30 days, 60 days, 120 days. We want to make sure that we do everything we possibly can on our part to be responsible to help get the items back, and to engage the patron to let them know, we are concerned, we want you to continue checking out, but we need those items so that we can continue keeping them in circulation.
I mean, I worked in credit for 25 years. I know most of those people are going to say, oh, I returned it or I paid for it.
Right.
So we've got to have a way of proving
Mhm.
that they did.
And that's tough.
I know
That's
it is.
that's been very, very
I
tough.
know.
And Paul and I both have soft hearts, so
Absolutely.
that's made it really tough.
Yeah.
My
Well-
boss always told me I wasn't mean enough. So I know.
Well, not only that, you're taking over things that someone else has done, and it's probably different from what you
It's-
feel. So it's got to be hard on both of you, all
Well,
of
in
you.
this
whoever-
way, it will give us a clean slate where that we can have board-approved policy,
Mhm.
and we will know that we have done everything that we possibly could do.
Right, right.
I have a question about Fox. How long do we have to pay that 75 cents per page?
They will be sending us an invoice, and it will be due upon receipt.
Is there any way about it we can talk to about having them postpone that?
Having a what?
Postpone that invoice. Wow.
And what we can do, we don't want to delete our book fund money, but we also know this has to do with the books. And I think at this point, we could use the $100 that we have for collections, and
Operating
then
supplies.
take the money from our book funds, and then perhaps we could have a fundraiser, that we could designate that this goes back into our book fund.
I think it's well worth the money.
It
to
is
get-
very
get
well worth the
all
money.
that off the
Get that,
books
I do too.
and start fresh with a clean policy and stuff, because I know very well it's not documented well. I've seen that, so.
With that being said, I really feel like that it would probably be in everybody's best interest for that new policy to be effective January 1st.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So that, and if that means we meet again before then we do, to make sure that policy's in effect the 1st of January, so that,
Well, and if it could be something you could hand to the people as
so
they
you could be
check out
handing
the
up,
book, so you know they got it.
Absolutely. So we will begin working on the policy. We have some ideas, and we have some written down ideas, so we will develop that into a policy to bring before the board, and we may need to do a special called meeting in November.
Is there a significant amount of books that are items that were deleted that are going to be replaced on the shelves that could kind of help offset the book fund?
We will
Kinda
look,
give a
there's
little
quite a
picture.
few that can go back on the shelves, and that's what Paul and I are going to be working on, is looking at the books to make sure it is something that's still fairly current,
Right.
something that the patrons still want to read and that are still in good shape. So yes, I feel that we can probably put more than half of the books back on the shelves.
I'm gonna also suggest that go like back before, to talk to Bruce, because that might have to become a special, well, a special resolution for the Mayor of Alderman also,
For the policy?
for the policy.
Yes. Did anyone have any more questions about that?
Are the people that are being removed from collection, how are they being notified in some way? Is Fox telling them, or are you all telling them? Or?
We are talking to them. What we have been doing, we have a list, and we're going to be going down the list, contacting the people, let them know that their account is back in good standing.
So you're not just waiting until they come in the library, you're actually
We are
calling
doing
them,
as
or-
they come in the library
Oh, okay.
and through the list
Okay.
also.
Oh, that's
Because
good.
we have
That's
them
good.
coming in wanting to use like the computers or to check out, and then they find out they're in collections. And some of them didn't even realize that they were in collections.
I'm
But we also
wondering-
have a list that we're going down, and we're going to make sure the books that are on the shelf, we're gonna try to match them the best we can to the patrons that are on the list.
Seems like to me, generally, the people that have been in collections in the past have left town with the items. Are you seeing there's plenty of people coming in that are,
Oh, yes.
Well,
Okay.
we had 4 come in today.
really?
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
4 of them, now, most days we don't have anyone,
Wow.
but there happened to be 4 that came in today. And I've also had, several in the past several weeks that have come in. And
Okay.
the first thing that, because the staff knows that either Donna or I will talk to them.
Right.
And so when we go out and talk to them, they are so elated when you tell them that they will no longer, that they're going to be removed from collections. So I think at that point, like today, one of them that I dealt with, he had a $4.99 just fine, in addition to being on collections. So I told him that he was going to be removed from collections, but he would still, be paying the $4.99 for the fine that he had on his account. Well, he was perfectly fine with that, when you're comparing being in collections against $4.99. So I'm finding that their reaction, when they find out they're coming out of collections, they're willing to really do what any other concessions, that they need to do. For instance, a lady came in today, and she was in collections, and her daughter was in collections as well. Probably between the two of them, it was for $80 for DVDs and a couple, I think one book maybe, one children's book. And what we did was, I told her that if she would like to go, because they hadn't been returned, if she would like to go look for those items and bring them back, then as long as they're in good condition, usable condition, that we would accept those back. And then, of course, she would automatically, she's going to be taking out of collections anyway.
So what's
So
the
that's
incentive to bring them back, though? If they're taken out of collections, you can ask them to bring them back, but do they really have any incentive to bring them back?
Well, if they have not returned the items, then they would have to pay for the items anyway. We would have a way of marking their account, putting a message that they have long overdue items, and their account will still be locked, they just will not be in collections.
Okay.
So that this
So
is
it's
something
just
Paul and I
kind
had
of
talked
like,
about
okay,
today.
From this point forward, you owe us this back,
Right.
and then you're gonna start owing us again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sounds like you ladies have your hands full.
Between
Your
books
lap.
last month and
Goodness.
But we feel that we have a grip on it now, and
It sounds
we do
like you do.
appreciate Fox Collections. I mean, they could have not worked with us, but I also saw that they saw that it was in their best interest to try to help us get a very clean slate.
Well, I think that's pretty cheap. I mean, they've done a lot of work on our
Yes.
behalf already with these people, mailings and phone calls, and everybody knows a letter costs, what, 42 cents? So whatever.
46.
So, I mean, 75 cents a person is,
Mailed in a long time.
I don't think it's unreasonable.
And any monies that we have collected where people had come in from collections, because we have not sent the names to Fox Collections, they said we could keep those monies. And so I feel like we're going to be okay. I don't think we're going to be out that much.
Good job, good job. Okay, is everybody ready for a vote? Okay.
We don't vote, we just
so
discuss.
Just a discussion, what? Okay, we're ready for number 4, discussion to review current computer usage policy.
Yes, if you will look at the back of your packet, you'll see up at the top it says 2010, and there's a page 12 and page 13. Okay. We have had, and this again is a discussion item, we're wanting to get the board's input. We currently give our patrons an hour a day on the computer. They come in with their library card and they go directly to a computer and they sign up with a library card as long as their library card is in good standing. That means they do not have over $5 or more overdue fines, that they're not blocked or they're not in collections. They're able to get right onto the computer and they have 1 hour a day. Now, we give the staff discretion if someone is working on an application or a resume or they are doing a school project, we give them a little extra time. Generally 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We have given them up to another hour as long as the computers are not really busy. Want to know what your feelings are. I know other libraries will give people up to 2 hours a day, like 2 times they can come in and have an hour at a time. Glenn, and this is going to be of interest to you because I know you've looked into this before, and what are your feelings on the computer usage? I mean, we want the computers to be used at all times. It is hard when someone comes back in and there's no one on the computers and we say, I'm sorry, you've already used your hour for today. And it's hard to have that discretion of saying you can go ahead and use another hour, but then some staff members, and the staff members are supposed to come to Paul and I if it's going to be over like 15 minutes of usage. What are your thoughts on computer usage? The time limits.
I think it should be, I think we could extend it another hour. I've thought about that a lot before. It could be that they couldn't be consecutive hours.
Right.
You know, an hour, you know, and then there has to be a 30-minute break between that hour. That way it gives you that opportunity, if your computers are full, for somebody else to get in there if they're here on their lunch or something. You know, they need to get in and get done. So, and everybody's monopolizing the computers for 2 hours. That's not going to work. But I don't see a problem with giving them more time per day, because I don't think they're that booked up right now. And tell me if I'm wrong, but when I've been over there, it seems to me that people are coming and going at a pretty decent pace, and you're not getting huge reservations, you know, of people waiting. Is that true as of right now?
That's a true statement.
Okay.
There are some days that are busier, obviously, than others. But for the most part, I would say we had available computers most of the time.
Yes.
I think it would be a a good show of, we're wanting to help you out, and give them a little extra time that they can use. That's my opinion.
2 hours.
Is it usually like on Saturdays, or the computer's like really busy, or is it, a particular day normally, or something like that, or just?
It comes and goes. When there's projects that are due at schools, yes, they are pretty busy. But I don't think I've seen recently where there are people waiting to get on the computers.
We've never had any waiting. And I think the biggest thing lately has been projects. Children, teenagers with their projects. That's when they get busy. So we're talking after school into the evenings, where for the most part.
So I was thinking, okay, even for that matter, if you could do you could be on them for 2 hours at a time or whatever, say during the day, and at night maybe limit it to an hour, or, well, my original thought was if they were real busy on Saturdays, just say Saturdays are going to be limited to an hour. But if you don't know, you can't do that.
It's really sporadic. It really is.
But
I hate that you're limiting them to so many hours a day because, they may need to come back. And I understand projects, but they also need to be respectful of other people's time, and if someone else needs it, they should get off of it. But I kind of hate that you're saying, oh, you're only going to be able to use it 2 hours a day, period, and that's it, or 1 hour a day, because there are a lot of people, that's the only way to apply for jobs anymore, is on the computer. And if they don't have one at home,
And if there's nobody waiting for it,
if nobody's waiting for it, why?
But at the same time, if somebody is waiting,
It's good to have the policy in
It's-
place because
that's-
if somebody's waiting, but.
Right.
The reason,
Because
yeah.
What about
their
having
project
a,
is as important as the other, I'm sure.
What about having a check-in?
Like a reservation station.
Yeah, something like that. Or, you go and you use your hour, and like you said, you take 30 minutes, but at the end of your hour, you go into the check-in and say, I need another hour. And then so that from that point, they have 30 minutes to kind of, hang out. If nobody's using it, then they can get back on it for their second hour. And they can, each hour, they can come in and go back up to the desk and check in again. Because some people may, like she said, may
Yeah, I
need
don't see me
3 hours, or, because I know when I was in school, doing a project, an hour was not nearly enough.
no, but I remember being in school and being limited. And then I did get up, and there were people waiting, so, and they made me get off. It didn't matter.
But I mean,
So,
if there are people waiting,
yeah.
yes, you get up,
But if
you
not,
need it and you're willing to wait for it, and
Yeah.
you make basically, like you said, make a reservation for the next hour or something.
Glenda's that reservation, we used to use a reservation.
You can make a reservation
And we
now.
can still do that. We haven't had the need to do it in the last several years. But I can remember years past, we had that
Yeah,
need and we used
y'all
it
got to
quite
remember that
frequently.
you can't do this on paper or manually. You're going to have the software that we use be able to do this, whatever rules we decide. We want them, how many hours, any gaps between, any wait time between those hours, because you have probably been there when it was done manually.
Yes.
And I've seen it done manually, and I've read about it from some of these other libraries on the list server being done manually, and it's a nightmare to try to manage. You get deception from people. I haven't been here already. You get just, you can't truly identify that somebody has used this much time already or anything without actually having it recorded in the system.
So they log in and it times them from.
Yeah,
that
there's
time.
software on the computers that give them 60 minutes, and then there's a counter, and it'll count down, and when it's done, it'll throw up a curtain, basically, over the screen. We can set that to whatever we want it to be. We've just got to be able to, like you said, if we can do an hour and then wait, and an hour and wait, I don't know if we can do that with the software. we probably can.
It sounds like it should be able to. If you can calculate an hour in it, you should be able to calculate 30 minutes of a break.
Yeah, I know we can do that, because we have one station right now that's just a 15-minute
Right.
express station that only a library patron can use. You can't, if you're a guest, you can't use that. That's for people that need to rush in, check
Right.
their email, print something off a flash drive, and leave. And that's a benefit to having a library card, is to be able to use that. But you only get 15 minutes on it, you know, so people can use it quickly. So we can do whatever times I believe we want to do. It's just what policy do we want to set?
Right.
We probably almost have to allow 2 hours. An hour wouldn't be enough time, would it?
I think with having to do applications now on the computer, and you can't turn in a paper application anymore, I think you have to give some more time, because
Because
it's
you gotta get
a
finished with it.
very
Yeah.
long process. If anybody has done one lately, it's not an hour. It's 2, possibly more, to actually get signed up for that company site and then actually go and do your resume and then apply for that job. The getting signed up part is at least an hour itself usually.
I mean, what we could do is a trial basis to see how this works, if we're starting to get backed up. And Glenn, how many computers do we have patron accessible?
We have 19 on the adult side, and 20 on the adult side if you count genealogy, and 8 on the children's side.
Okay. I was thinking 21, but
Did I miss
so
one?
20.
Or if you count the express station, maybe.
Oh, I didn't count the express station, so 21 if you count that one too.
Okay, but 20 actual, just right.
I would leave the express station,
At 15,
express
yeah.
at the 15 though.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's
I
great,
would
and we have
never-
people who use it, you know, who do just run in during lunch and have to print something off, a flight ticket or whatever, and it's really nice.
And it's one thing
to
that they
have
generally know, if they're a card-carrying patron, they can access it, whereas, you know, somebody that's doesn't have a card can use the other ones because they get a guest number, but they kind of know that one is theirs, that you can't use that as a guest, so they can know they can run in real quick, and usually it'll be available for them fairly quickly.
So in order to implement this trial, do we need to have a motion? And I know we would need to work on it first.
I think if we want to do this, we should probably do a trial, decide what we would like to trial today, if we can do that with the board guidelines. I don't know that. But if we can decide that today, we will be in this month when we're rewarded our state monies.
Right.
We will be upgrading that time management software to allow for Windows 7 usage. So that would be a very opportune time, because we'll have the vendor in our hands helping us with that upgrade. We can have them assist us with programming in these times.
A good idea.
It's a very touchy piece of software to work with, and there's a lot of screens and things on it, and to be able to utilize them while we have them with the upgrade, tell them what we want to do, I think would be a good idea.
So,
I like it.
Are we looking to do a motion for a 2-hour trial?
is this what we're going, is this what you need, Donna?
That, I think, a 2-hour trial to start with,
So
yes.
we're gonna go from a discussion to a motion?
Can we do that, or we can't do that?
It's one of those things that wasn't on the agenda
Okay.
for today, and I know it seems kind of inefficient to not be able to do that, to at least do a trial period, but for y'all to rule on something, it would have to be
Got it.
noticed. If y'all are wanting to come back, you were talking about maybe doing a meeting before January, you can put multiple items on that new specially called meeting once notice is given to the public. I don't imagine that a patron would come in and object to any new policy of extending the hours, but you just never know, and so that would be a better decision to table that and put it on the next agenda item with
Okay.
whatever motion you would want to do.
When is the guy coming to do the update?
Okay, so
He
we'll
won't be
just leave it
coming.
as a
It'll be over
discussion
the phone.
subject.
Okay.
So, and we can schedule that
Oh,
at our
okay.
leisure, so.
Okay, good.
So we just need to come up with a date for a meeting for November.
In November, yes. What I'll do is get with
She'll get
Bruce to make sure that it'll be hopefully just like the second Monday in November, because that seems to be the time frame that we're given. But I need to double check with Bruce to make sure that's okay, and then I will send you all an email.
She'll let us know. Okay, I guess we're ready now for number 5. Discussion, implementing a usage fee for non-Rutherford County residents.
Okay, again, this is a discussion item. Would like for you all to give lots of thought to this. It was brought up probably a year, 2 years ago, about implementing a usage fee for non-Rutherford County residents. It seems like it's the time now that we need to go ahead and think about pursuing this. I did not get a report pulled up of how many Rutherford County residents we have versus Davidson County or Williamson or Wilson. I know we have a lot of Davidson County people who come, and we do have some Williamson and Wilson County patrons.
Do you know what the other libraries do?
I looked it up last year. I can look it up again and let you know.
Don't you think that would be
I
good
know
if you?
most Davidson County charges, Williamson County charges. But now as far as the local, like
I
Smyrna,
don't think
I think
Smyrna
Laverne.
charges.
I don't
in
think-
Murfreesboro, I don't think they
They
charge.
do not charge.
I don't
no.
think Smyrna does.
No,
They don't.
Wilson County
I think that's
charged.
what happened when we did it before.
But
Yeah.
most of them, I remember it
Nobody
was
in this
like
county
city
did it.
employees, of course, even if they don't live within the county, because I know I can go to Brentwood, Williamson County and use theirs for free, because my husband works for the city. But Davidson County, I'm wanting to say it was like $25 for
I think so.
non-residents.
Mhm.
Really?
And some of
$25
them a year.
A year?
And some of them, I think we had talked before about
That's
the
a
children
population
having it cheaper.
No, we're very glad.
Right, and that was one of the concerns was how to link the families with our software again. It comes down to a lot of our software issues, having a family rate,
Right.
because some people have so many, 2 or 3, 4 children, and it would get extremely expensive. I don't know. I just want to toss it out, get some ideas from you all, and then definitely we want to bring it up in the new year. And
I'll pull those up again and I'll send them to you.
okay. So if you all would just kind of check around and think on it, I'll try to pull the notes out from
Yeah,
the
we had
past.
a discussion on it.
We did. We did, and like I said, one of the drawbacks was the families, trying to link to make sure that we knew.
Well,
That we got-
everyone in,
Percentage
I
was
mean,
enough.
for us, everyone in our family has to have a individual library card.
Correct.
For the what it was.
Would that not be true for,
You would have to have an individual library card, and if the board chooses for us to charge each individual person, we could do that. I think at one time we had talked about a family rate. So these are all things that we need to think on, and
I mean, it seems like it wouldn't be something too hard to implement. I mean, that's the same thing the YMCA does. I mean, they're able to link it to the family for one rate. But each person has a card.
again, it comes to our software.
I don't know
Our
that,
concourse.
I don't know that it would be a problem with that. That would be more of a policy, because either way we do it, they're going to be linked. They're going to have to be linked to that family. So
Okay.
it's going to be more of a policy on, do you want a family plan, or do you want to just say adult card is this and a child card is this? Because I think we're still going to have to link them if they're out of county and in that family. I have to look at that.
Right.
How do you determine now, like, for someone to get a child card, I forget, how do you determine that that's their child? Is that just word of mouth, or?
Believe them.
When the child gets a card, we have the responsible parent, whether that be the mother or the father, has to, of course, sign the application. Then on the computer, we will put, there's a field that we put, say, mother, and then put the mother's name. Okay,
So it's by word.
But there's a responsibility, the driver's license goes on the
Yes.
child.
Yes, the driver's
Yes.
license
Okay,
goes.
that's-
But there isn't anything, unless we run some reports with filters, and so on, that we can't directly get the links. Like, we can't, at least that I'm aware of, can't pull up a family name. Now, we can pull up, let's say, a last name and get a list of everyone that we have that has a card by that last name. And then we can extend that by looking at addresses and seeing if the address, so you can do it, it's just a little detailed to do that.
There's functionality in there that we've never used
Okay.
for,
good.
for families. I'll have to look at it closely to understand it again, because it
Good.
was never used from the beginning. But there's a family
Yes,
drop
family
down.
of, right,
Family
up
of.
at the top that we've never used.
Yeah, we'll just have to
Okay,
study it and
good.
see how we can utilize that. But I think that's the key to doing what you want to do on that. My concern was if we did it as a family plan, what would stop somebody from bringing their neighbor's kid and saying, this person is part of my family, and then everybody, you would never get any more revenue from that other family. But I've forgotten, it makes them responsible with the driver's license and the signature, so they would be, even if they did do that, they would be responsible for that
The
child's
items,
books.
Right, the
Yeah.
items that they check out.
And we still have that issue now anyway, in, some cases.
I know I had, in one of the political meetings, it was brought up, the fact that the library allows other counties to come in whenever they're not having to pay, but a child from here would have to, could not check out a book for school or something when they live here, when a child from another county has that book and they have access to another library. So, because like in Davidson County, there's the library right there off of Old Hickory Boulevard. And the child could go right there, but instead they come to our library where they don't have to pay, and then a child here in Laverne can't get that book because that child has it, whereas that child had access at the other library anyway. But if the child here went to that library, they'd have to pay.
Makes a lot of
Did I
sense.
just go all the way around?
That makes
Well,
that
I'm
makes
interested
perfect
to
sense.
see a town meeting, because I was on the board at the time, and it was a fraction of the people that were out of county.
Right.
There was just a fraction.
It still, I
It
believe,
wasn't-
is a fraction, but I
wasn't
know
a-
that we have to start somewhere. But yes, because I was on the board at the time too, and it was a smaller amount than what we first thought. But we definitely will pull a report of out of county so that we'll know. So we definitely need to have a meeting in November, and
We're not talking 3-tier like city, county, and outside county. We're just talking
County.
city and county.
Just county.
County only, and then outside county, right?
Right.
Okay,
right, Rutherford County residents.
okay.
Okay, do we have any more discussion? no more business, our meeting is adjourned at 5:30.